good afternoon, everyone, / good evening, and welcome to our Tagmarshal expert session. My name is Bodo Sieber, CEO of Tagmarshal, and today's session is how Scenic Hills Country Club is using technology to automate pace of play management, saving staff hours, and keeping members happy. And the wizard behind a happy club is none other than managing partner Lynne. Leo, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Leo has been a partner of ours in the club for about a year and a half, or almost two. So we're delighted to have you on board with us. What I would like to do is just throw you in the deep end, Leo, for a quick introduction of what Scenic Hills is all about, and also how you came to be an owner and get involved in the game of golf.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Well, Scenic Hills was formed back in 1958, basically by a group of individuals that really couldn't find a welcoming club in town, something that they felt was their place, so they built it. And it was privately owned for many years. And, it struggled, like in the times that, that some of the, I think they had lots of, doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs on the board, and none of them were perhaps here on site, at least for the hours that probably needed to be. So it's kind of changed into a corporate owned and managed location, and finally in 2012 it was actually purchased by our geographic neighbor, which is the University of West Florida. And they struggled with it as well. I happened to buy a house on number 10 Green in 2016, and a couple months later, I really thought I was invited to a meeting of Welcome to the Neighborhood, and it was, well, the neighborhood is being sold to a developer type of thing, and that's who was really courting them at the time. And so we sort of rallied a bunch of the homeowners and members at the time, and a lot of folks wanted to be involved. I'm a banker by trade. I had some time off, so I said, well, I can maybe make a difference here, and didn't want 30 different partners though. So one of the gentlemen that was sort of leading that at the time is my business partner, Jeremy Reese. He owns a phenomenal construction company in town, and we thought maybe we're kind of a yin and a yang. I'm more of a computer and numbers analyst, and he's a get hands-on and get it done kind of guy. So we put ourselves together and sort of making it work. So we purchased the entire facility in 2017. The course, going back a little bit, 1969, Women's USGA, Women's Open. I was the only one in Florida, so that's kind of a nice, we have plenty of that hanging on the walls around here. So that was a very special event. Like I say, we picked it up in 2017, and it was struggling. We've been blessed we've increased revenues 400%. We've taken a sinking ship, a very unprofitable operation, to a profitable operation. And we've basically taken everything, every dime that we've made, we put it back into the club. Plenty of deferred, capital projects, just general maintenance. So we've been blessed with a couple of unique years, but we've been able to swing at them pretty hard, and so far so good.
Yeah, well done to you and your business partner, and also your team. You really have created something special, and I think there's also some local accolades that are almost like a byproduct of doing great work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, since we've taken over 5 years, there's two sort of awards. They're held by publications in town. It's called Best in Pensacola and Best at the Bay. And each year since we've been here, we've won Best Golf Course in both categories, so Best in the Bay and Best in Pensacola. And we also we have a very nice food and beverage operation, and we typically, so for 5 years running now, we've always won something in sort of the wedding catering space, as well as our restaurant typically wins Best Brunch. So and the one that we didn't win this year, but we were in the top 3 for 2022, was Best Place to Work, which we're really proud of. simply because, again, there's a lot of really wonderful companies here in the Pensacola market, and the number one company has 7,000 employees. So the fact that we came close to that with, a lot less than 7,000 employees, obviously our employees voted for us, and we take that. It's very special, especially in such a tight labor market that we're in right now.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that says a lot about your management of the club. And if I've learned one thing, and working with what's now almost 500 golf courses, it's the people that create the environment, right? And it's
Absolutely.
the people that make things work. And also it's the people, if you give them technology, that need to drive it. And I cannot say enough good things about your team from our point of view. But what they're creating for your golfers is a product of their care, right, and attention to detail. And I know that you are modestly mentioning that you are on site and you're making sure that things work, but it does pay off, right? So yeah, well done to you and the team. Thanks for the introduction. Tell me a little bit about the golf side of things. You've got members and you do quite a bit of guest play. How much of it? And what do we need to know?
Yeah, so we're a semi-private daily fee facility now. So and our golf is split. Our revenues are sort of split 50-50 with food and beverage and golf. And of the golf, about 50% of that, it's about right down the line. Member play versus public play. And we'll do about 38,000 rounds this year. We've kind of been creeping up a little bit every year. So there's still room, but we're certainly finding that obviously, tee time management, to be able to make sure we're maximizing that inventory, that expiring inventory in the best way possible, and getting, people through here the right way possible is becoming, that much more important, especially we're just 18-hole facility. So, 40,000 rounds starts to get up there where, you want to make sure it's a fun time that people are getting through here efficiently.
Yes. It appears that you are doing just that. So thank you, Leo. We're going to talk about how you use technology to be successful. If you'll allow me just a very brief introduction to Tagmarshal. We are an on-course optimization and automation solution. We now work with close to 500 golf courses. We're also very blessed with working with almost, I think it's 34 of the top 100. Some of them are on this list. So that's in the private club space. You've got your Oakmont, Hazeltine, Baltusrol, to name a few, and then some of the very best resorts as well. Pebble Beach, Kiowa. I was at Kiowa just half an hour ago. I was at the Golf Inc. Summit here. What a beautiful place. We also work with what is now the DP World Tour, and helping the USGA with data and providing value throughout the industry where we can. We've been at it now for almost 7 years, and it's great to that we get to add value and just build long-term partnerships. So what we want to start with, Leo, is the age-old question: what makes or breaks a player experience? Not everything in a player experience is created equal. Some things are very important to players and they're very sensitive about it, and we just want to make sure that we do those things right. So from your perspective, if you look at this list here: course design, conditioning, clubhouse amenities, pace and flow of play, playing partners in my group as a player, accessibility, tee time availability, your members fighting with the guests who gets to play, cost and value. What would you say are the top three? And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to ask our audience to poll what they feel are the top three for golfers in terms of experience factors. What would you say, Leo, for yourself and for the many people that you're serving? What's the top three?
Let's see. Do I have to rate them 1, 2, 3, or just pick the top three out of those?
Pick the top three, but you can put them in order of what you think holds the most weight. Yeah. Well,
let's see. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with easily course conditioning, pace and flow of play, and cost value. I would definitely have cost value third. As important as it is, that all kind of comes into play for when you get to the first two. So the first two is going to be tough, 1 and 2. conditioning and pace and flow of play, and then cost value kind of brings those together in our world.
Yeah, and I think you are spot on here, and that no surprises, right? So if we do those things well, that's the baseline covered really well, and then everything that you can create around that, from your culture, your clubhouse, your food and beverage, that really rounds things off. But you need to get right what drives the bus, right? Because you're a golf course. I'm just going to end this poll and quickly share it. You have voted course conditioning and pace of flow and flow of play tops, and accessibility and tee time availability third. That's our crowd. Thank you very much. Stop sharing. And that's from a player point of view. That third point is important because, well, if you've got a beautiful golf course, you want to get out there, and ideally with people of your choosing as well. So that needs to be managed. The research here confirms 82% of players, that's top ranked, say course conditioning is most important to them. And then very close to that, in between, is actually who's in my playing group. But very close to that is 74% saying pace and flow of play is a crucial factor. So no surprises. Also, you mentioned you're very much part of the NCOA. That's great to hear. We are also partners of theirs, and they're a fantastic team to work with. And I'm glad that you're getting so much value from them. I think they're forums where you get sort of peer insights are wonderful, and they're really helpful. Further to the USGA research, there's also another piece of research that was quite in-depth, and that was published in first 2019 and then in 2020 as a full research piece, and that was done by Professor Christina Schoonover, who is from the University of Wisconsin-Start, and her colleague Dr. Bray. And Chris is also the director of golf operations at Erin Hills, who's one of our friends, our partners for a number of years. So she wears both hats, that of an experience and customer experience journey researcher, really good in her field, and also then translating that into an excellent customer journey at a beautiful place like Erin Hills. So the research that they did identified what are the key touch points across a golfer journey that really matter most. And there's 1,000 touch points, which sounds crazy, but literally, booking your tee time, driving through the gate, getting greeted, putting your clubs in the trunk. All of these are touch points, and some of them are delighters, and they make players deliriously happy, and some of them are frustrators, and they really frustrate players. So we need to know what floats to the top, and what do we need to get right. And what was so interesting out of this entire research, what came out of it was the top and bottom rated items are pace of play related. So the worst ranking item is corrective pace of play actions, which is a marshal coming over and saying, hey guys, you're slow, get on with it, right? Which is the worst thing to do to a golfer. The conundrum, however, is that other people's speed, if other people are slow, is equally as frustrating to players. So the players would always think, I'm not a slow player, everyone else is a slow player. So don't you come to me and tell me I'm slow. Because if you do, I'm going to be very upset. But don't let anyone else be slow. So that's a conundrum we need to solve. And on the other side, the top ranked, which sounds absolutely crazy. You would have thought surely conditioning or beautiful design is top ranked, but no, positive ranger etiquette ranks top in terms of the score. And that's because it's so unexpected. So I think in general, also the marshal role is not well liked by golfers. So I think that you have obviously made some adjustments because you could see that anecdotally, but still you have to manage things because other people's speed being such an issue for golfers, and they'll let you know all about it, especially if you have to manage guest play and member play. Are you surprised at all by these findings?
No, not at all. I mean, I could I could give you lots of scenarios there of exactly some of the changes we've made already, and I'm not surprised there at all. That's
And it's what's so interesting because, I'm sure your club is no exception. You're putting so much effort, budget, time, materials, labor hours into conditioning, right?
Right.
Just to really keep things top notch. And then a lot of clubs saying, okay, great, we've done it. And then they put a lot of effort into marketing, getting people to come join their club, or getting people to come play. And then they send them out there and it's like, oh, hey, job done. You're out there now, go play, have fun. You're on your own though. And I think that it's very important to understand that this is the product really. Like, you need to present your course out there. People want to have positive interactions with your staff, and the conditioning on its own doesn't carry it. You need to make sure that things flow well, and then you've got the full package. So I think this is a great opportunity to segue into how you use automation to improve the on-course player experience. Tell us a little bit about your setup here. And I believe that you also invested in quite a lot of new machinery and a new cart fleet, and also really making sure that your team has all the tools that they need. Tell us a little bit about that before we look at the technology side of things.
Yeah, we again, we were a bit of a 60-year-old startup, so we believe in the right tools to get the job done. So we invested as much as we could into all the turf equipment. Well, first thing we did was kind of an end-to-end club management software, because they were at all kind of bolted on technology that wasn't very efficient at all, and not user friendly. And then on the outside, the actual equipment, we did get invested pretty heavily in the new turf equipment and brand new golf carts. We actually got our second round of carts now in, so we even shortened that window a bit. So yeah, I would say we're probably we're probably on the leading edge of some of that stuff. We don't like it to get too old, and we realize the importance of having the right tools to do the job.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I think your decision to also use technology to optimize things speaks to that. I'll just do a quick introduction of what Tagmarshal does. So we have a system that tracks player movement, both on the walking golf side, but also in carts. So we have both a passive tracker that gets hidden in the cart, and we've got a GPS screen, which is what Scenic Hills are using. And those units collect data and then send it through to the cloud, where things get processed. We've got algorithms running that make sure that we can calculate what's happening out on the course. You can think of it like a Waze or Google Maps of the live traffic on a golf course. And then obviously that's the live management side, and that gets presented to any of the resources at the club that want to have access, including a lot of clubs put a big screen TV on so that their members and guests can also see that there's a bit of an eye in the sky. And then there's a second tier, which is obviously the data and analytics side of things. Because you collect a lot of data, you can use that to better understand your business and to make better decisions. So as far as your club is concerned, Leo, we've got a screen grab here from earlier today. It's already quite busy. You can immediately see what's up on your course, even though you are not the person driving this, but it's intuitive enough. Like, tell me what you see here, what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, and if I can just speak to there's that prior slide where you talked about getting on the TV. The first thing that behind our pro shop, we have a big TV mounted, portrait mode, because our course is really more a portrait orientation. And I would say that's the start of that sort of the player experience as it comes to, pace of play and kind of what their expectations are. And that affects different players different ways, but both of them is helpful. I mean, the ones that are quick players and understand pace of play, they're so excited that we take it that serious, and it is an objective type system. We're working off of data, and they know that we are watching, and we again we'll be able to do something about it. The golfers that are maybe the problem golfers, they see it again and say, okay, we're watching. And again, same thing. When we come out there, which we may because they know that that's maybe what they've done in the past, that we're coming out with objective data. And then again, we present them with basically our marshals, going out to them, present this type of a screen. So you can look here and see not only by the color of the cart numbers, also the size of the cart numbers, in terms of just a very simple, intuitive way of saying not only, what are you doing in your cart, but what's ahead of you and what's behind you. And objectivity is the big thing for us. It's just being data driven. That's where we found the best feature, because it gets rid of that. We don't even call our marshals marshals. We call them player assistants. We're trying to get away from that. So now we can go up to them and just say, hey, how you doing? All this kind of stuff. And here's the screen. I mean, they can figure it out almost on their own. And we just find that it's just a lot less, it's just a lot easier conversation.
Sure. No, I think you're making great points here. And one of the points that I know that's important to you is also just to be accurate about things, right? So it's not just how you approach it, but also being at the right place at the right time, which is near impossible without the line of sight. You're always going to guess. You're always at the wrong place at the wrong time, and then you don't have any evidence with you. It's opinion versus opinion, and that doesn't end well when it comes to pace of play.
Never seems to end well. Yeah.
So one of the things that we do is we integrate with most of the going tee sheets, and then that can then be fed by API straight into the Tagmarshal system. So every cart out there has players assigned to it, which obviously helps both from a management point of view, but it also helps from a service point of view. So your halfway house or your drinks cart, and I don't know what your setup is exactly, but you would know who's approaching. And because you've got so many members and lots of repeat players, you can really build these relationships, which is always great. Mm-hmm. Then another point to mention quickly with this group here, they're on the 11th. We can see their trend right through, like first hole, and they played pretty quickly the next few holes, and now their trend is sort of dropping down. And that's one of the reasons the system flags them as a challenge, because they're getting worse. And also they have a tail, they're impacting the group behind them, they're already quite close to them. So that is really the head of the snake right now. You mentioned in a conversation recently a sniper approach, right?
Well, yeah. Maybe not the best words. We don't have. We've had a hard time just filling marshal positions, but regardless, this is still, I just think, a better way than having our marshals drive around, because again, we know that they're going out to the problem areas. It gives them the ability, to actually put a note in the system. So I just think we get more out of our marshals as well, more out of the marshals that we have. And I just think it's just a better way to manage.
No, look, I understand that you don't want to think sniper when it comes to this, but what it speaks to is being accurate, right? And where the opposite would be spray gun and hope for the best, right?
Right.
And I think you're doing this really well. So, one of the features as well is that your team now has a tablet, so your player assistants, and it's really a smart move to not call these resources marshals, because the moment somebody's a marshal, the players are feeling intimidated and they push back. But if it's player assistant, well, this person's here to help me, makes things much easier. That's such an easy thing to change from a culture point of view, but it's very important. And also another point, and you mentioned it's now easy to have a conversation, but you don't have to tell a player you're slow, because they really don't respond well to being told that. You can say, hey, you're out of position, and also I'm here to help. How can I help you get back in position? And if we do both things, if we're not marshals, and if we don't say anyone's slow, then it's an easy conversation. I know that it's not easy with almost 40,000 rounds to keep everyone in check. So let me just jump one up. So you're using the GPS unit with the yardage and the range finding, and obviously there's a GPS function, a geofence function with this that helps alert your players when they are in the wrong place and when they're entering a zone that they're not supposed to. We're going to talk about this just now, but here's what we call a track map from one of these rounds. So the entire round is recorded, and where there's a geofence breach like this one, you would then have a location marker, and you know exactly the players that were in this group. Is this something that is helpful to your team?
It's extremely helpful. I probably anybody listening here, this may not be a new concept, but we're, as a both membership and public, we tend to have some more challenge with our members than we do the public. And, without having data like this, it becomes even more uncomfortable. So yes, no, we use this very frequently to be able to, again, say, hey, look, it's a kind of a 1, 2, 3 strike rule in terms of, their behavior out on the course. So because they're the quickest ones to complain about, some condition here and there, but they're also typically the ones that are, parking way too close. So,
yep. Yeah, no, that's the members own the course, they think, right? So
and the other side of it, the geofence, we're in a community. We have streets running all through the community. This is probably less of a member, now go more onto the public, but a lot of folks want to take the shortcut through the neighborhood on the roads. And, we really do not want that. That's just a tremendous liability for us. It's annoying to the neighbors. Our roads aren't that wide, so it gives us, again, the ability to, when somebody's it's typically on 18, they're kind of running through, it gives us the opportunity to just catch them and just nicely say, we saw you on the map. I mean, they know it because it comes with the big red alarm, but, and it typically stops them from doing it a second time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the important points, is that it helps the player self-manage, because they may take a chance, but if they know that there's a system looking out, then they're less likely to do it again. And another portion here is that's important too, as we looked at the live map that your management team uses, and as the colors change, as the system identifies, okay, this group is now becoming an issue, the color also changes on the interface. So the players then understand and realize, and eventually get a pop-up message, you're out of position, please acknowledge, so that they can self-correct. And more often than not, that happens. But if it doesn't, then you can still go out and assist them. What is your members, but also the guests' experience been with these units? Are they accepting of it?
Yeah, they love the screens. I mean, the screens are awesome. I mean, that's a real, high resolution, real nice on the touch side. They come right on. They're, they think it's awesome. I mean, they love the range finding capability. Some of the other capabilities of being able to, touch and, get through a menu and order, from our food and beverage side. Okay, you got this up there, yeah. The ordering side, the fact that we can publish, if we have a league play coming up, or we have some kind of special going on, like you have there, right? It's just a really great way to get in front of them. That we would put this information in the pro shop, but they're just not interested. They want to get in the cart and go. Whereas once they're in the cart, now they're just sitting there, and so they look up. And we found that, we're getting more traction in some of these other league plays and some of these other food and beverage events. If we have a trivia night or whatever, that we're finding that people have found out about it through the cart.
Sure. No, that's great to hear, because look, you have their attention for 4 hours, right? So if at the right time a message pops up, and especially also would be helpful to your food and beverage to get things prepared ahead of time. It's all incremental opportunities. I think that there may also be player safety opportunities by being able to communicate it. How's that working for you?
We just used we had Lightning for the first recently, and we were able to put that out, versus before we had to send as many guys as we could, because we really don't have very good shelter out there, so we have to get them back to the cart barn. And so again, that takes us time and make sure we don't miss anybody. And now we were able to just shoot it out there and just let everybody know, and really called them in with that. So that was huge.
That's great. That's exactly what technology is supposed to do, right? Make your life easier, make you more efficient. And yeah, good to hear that that you're getting such good usage out of it. Um, so just jumping on, and we're talking about efficiency, and you mentioned earlier that it's a stiff labor market right now. Um, yeah, how does the system and the management capabilities that it presents, and not to talk about this data just yet, we'll get to that, but how is it helping your team be more efficient and maybe also do more with a few less hours?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, in the on the marshaling player assistance side, it just helps the entire our golf operations, whether it's in the pro shop, our outside operations, or somebody that's in a starter marshal player assistant role.
Mhm.
So it certainly has helped there. I'll tell you the other where it's helped though is a whole nother side of it is with the heat mapping function. So we've been able to make a determination that we're going this next season. We're taking 40 acres of our course, and oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, so we take about 40 acres of our course, and we're doing native grasses. We're doing a love grass, just because we've been watching where the players are going and where they're not. So why use up the labor and why beat up the machinery? Because it's typically the rougher areas that we're finding here. So we're really excited about. We're just starting to till it up now, so I don't have any actual data yet, but I'd be very surprised that this is not going to be a winner at the end. Not to mention, it looks really cool. Like I say, we've done it on one hole, and everybody seems
Yeah.
to love it.
No, that's fantastic. So what this does, this heat map, is it really shows where do players go, where don't they go, where do they spend a lot of time, and because the Scenic Hills is tracking car traffic, you can also see that there's areas where the cars never go, right? And those are opportunities for irrigation saving, labor saving, fertilizer saving, as you're saying, not beat up the machinery too much.
Yep.
And we have a lot of clubs that are using this data, which they're collecting over time, but also quite quickly, to inform renovation decisions. So nothing makes us happier than to get a request from, say, a Baltusrol or Valhalla, who've both done that. So like, oh, can you help us analyze this, and so that we can use it with our architect to make better decisions, both from a flow point of view, but also from a sustainability point of view, and that's brilliant. So it's great to hear that you are acting on this also so quickly, um, and uh, and going for it. So from a data point of view, and this is what I mentioned earlier, that the back end of the system really, we believe, is a business solution, because what you're doing out on the golf course really is such an important business driver for you. I'm obviously delighted to hear that your food and beverage is working so well, and also an important revenue contributor. But at most clubs, um, people go to food and beverage because and after their round of golf, right? So it's not an attraction in itself. So we have to make sure that we do this well, and also we want to ensure that we don't eat into people's time budget, especially when they're guests, because if they got an hour too long out on the course, they don't have that time to stay with us afterwards.
Right.
And I just wanted to point out two data points here. One is here is your hole by hole breakdown of Scenic Hills. And then each hole is also broken down into time spent on the tee box, time in the fairway, and time on the green. So that we can really see where the holes that are slightly off. And sometimes when your superintendent looks like this, they can make decisions around how can we adjust our pin placements to maybe speed things up or buy a bit of time, or maybe we can adjust to low cost adjustments to our setups, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another opportunity to look at is what is our distribution of the pace, because I mean, you guys are playing to a 3:57 goal time, which is fantastic. It's just under 4 hours. Golfers love that, right? But you need to execute on it, right? And this shows where you first started out, and you got to know the system, and you basically just tracking data. There was quite a big chunk of of your um, of your play that was delayed, right? Because obviously, as you get to know things, You get to know your course better, your team dials into the system. This is really the status quo of how things used to be. So there's a percentage of red here, and that means 20, 30 minutes out of position or slow. And it doesn't mean that all these players are slow, it's just some groups holding up others, right? And then what you have been able to do, and this is real data according to the work that you're doing, a year later, this has come down to, there is hardly anyone that's 20 or 30 minutes out. It's just a tiny fraction within the stay here. A couple of people are 10 minutes off, but you have then adjusted your average goal time from 3:57 to an effective 3:43. And this is player happiness right there, right? Like we got a course that's nicely conditioned and we're all getting through in a good time. Nobody's being held up. And this is just shows that your management efforts pay off. And the opportunity they can look at next is, you can see that there's a 14-minute difference. That is at least one tee time that you can now add. And that is maybe two. And that is worth something to you, right? Because we've got guest play. I know that you're looking to dial into this further. So we're excited to help you with analysis and just be of assistance to your team to get the most out of this. This is good to see, isn't it?
Sure is. There's a lot of information there.
Yeah. So yeah, again, like, well done. And it's really, you are doing so much work on the front end of things, just incrementally plugging away at these opportunities. And that's the result. The proof's in the pudding, the data doesn't lie. Okay. Just to keep us on track, Leo, because we had a short rain delay here with my tech breaking. What has the response been from your golfers, but also from your team, with regards to getting this technology on board?
Yeah, I mean, kind of goes back to what I was saying before. I mean, it affects the full range of golfers, the good and the not so, I don't want to say not so good, but I think you know what I'm saying. I mean, the ones that are very good golfers, very serious players, they love it. The ones that don't fit in that category, they're on the other side of the spectrum. Again, I think they appreciate it, and again, because we'll be approaching them from the objective side, so both of those are happy. I see some of the. I mean, the only folks that haven't been incredibly happy with it are members that have their own personal carts, which is fine with me, because it actually fits with some of the changes that we're making here at the club, to try to move them in the right direction. We are requiring them to come in and there's a little mobile device that you guys gave us, a GPS tracker, and that way it puts their name into the system. So that way, and we basically have a process for them. If they break the rules so many times, or they don't use that tracker, then they're going to have to put in one of your other boxes that go into their carts. And after that, there's just no longer, their cart's not allowed on the course. And so I don't mind having those difficult conversations, because again, those are going right to the people that really need it. So, sure. The team loves it. Everybody loves it, just because, it's just, I don't know, that we are continuously trying to improve. And I think we got a lot of young guys, right? I mean, we're a young kind of company, so we just get a lot of credibility from them to say, wow, you guys are invested in this thing. They see the courses around us that don't have this technology, and it looks great on the front side. They get to enjoy that, but then they see really why we're doing it on the back side, and it fits with all the other decisions that we're making with different technology internally and how we're changing the operation. So, I think it helps with that corporate culture that we were talking about from that perspective. I think it makes people's jobs, more effective and more enjoyable. And, I think it's definitely saving us money. So that makes the managers happy and us as owners happy.
Yeah, no, it was interesting at the Golf Inc. event here, how many of the managers, also people speaking on panels, are saying that the technology is here to help us work smarter. And very often it's a tool to add to the player experience or to be like some sort of retention strategy for players. But they also often point out how it helps them retain staff, right? Because if I mean, there is no golf course in the world right now that is not busy, and you need to just be able to prioritize and do the right things for your members. And very often there aren't just not enough hours in the day. So if you have technology that can help you get more out of your hours and be more effective, then that is certainly something that makes sure that your team can be stay motivated and doesn't get overburdened. So it's as much as a retention tool for players and keeping the players happy as it is for the team and the staff. Because if you create an environment for them so they can be successful, that's rewarding, and that's when you get loyalty, and that's when they look after your members and guests for you. And I think going back to what you mentioned earlier, that you are continuously voted a top 3 place to work within your community, that speaks to that as well. So I think that's an important point to make. And of course, the people who are naughty don't like the control. They don't want to be tracked.
That's okay.
Well, look, but your responsibility is to everybody, right? It's if there are 3% that are a little bit unhappy, for the benefit of everyone, well, they need to try a little bit harder and fall in line, maybe, and that's only fair.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have caught up. We're nicely on pace. So I thought maybe use 2 or 3 minutes for a Q&A if anyone has any questions for Leo. And I've got 2 of our good Tagmarshal humans on here. Joey Walters, our general manager. He was with me just now at Golf Inc. on his way back down to our office in Atlanta. And John Wilmore is my co-founder. He's very active in educating people around the opportunities technology has for them, especially also in Florida. So if you would like to reach out to either of them, you're welcome to. Are there any questions, or is there anything, Leo, that let me just jump back here, that you would like to add, or that you would like operators to consider?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, I think we're, it's an interesting time. So, I just think we are probably more technology forward than maybe some. I would just encourage everyone. I mean, I think it's been a good move for us, just in general. So, I mean, I would continue to, I guess, preach that.
Here's a question. Somebody's had an issue with card theft. Yeah, I suppose with your geofencing and the fact that things are tracked, you would certainly then know where the units are. We have actually had a case where our team has helped perpetrators being found in Texas, where a couple of carts were loaded onto a flatbed and moved from Houston to Dallas within a few hours. And because they could then track where they went, they could then find the people who were responsible. They didn't expect that there were trackers in the vehicle. So this is not a normal thing, but just an interesting question that came up. Okay, any other questions while we have Leo's attention? You were incredibly fortunate now and lucky to escape the hurricane, thankfully, which obviously a lot of our partners, especially around St. Petersburg area, were quite hard hit by. Is this something that has impacted you in the last few years since you've been in charge?
We got pretty much square hit for Hurricane Sally, so it was a tough time. It was, I mean, I'd never experienced anything like that before, so it hit us. It packed a wallop, so we had to do a lot of rebuilding as quickly as we could.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But our thoughts are with the teams down at the clubs that are affected. Yes. At the same time, we have also seen how tremendously resilient the people in Florida are to just get on with this and build things up and make things better again. And they still have an amazing off season just a few weeks later. So hats off, really. But great to hear that you got spared. Okay, Leo, I think we are, it was brilliant to get your insight, and thanks for taking the time to get on our little soapbox here with us and having such good points that you made. Really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you certainly at the PGA show. You're planning to coming up
of
over
course.
to Orlando?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
It was great fun. Thanks, Leo, and thanks everyone for listening, checking in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're always here to help as best we can. Thanks, Leo. Take care.